Hello, good morning. So it's 10 o'clock and we will start our webinar. This is a side event in the context of the Green Week, and the topic is the role of circular economy in zero pollution strategies for healthier people and planet. Thank you very much to the speakers and the participants for sharing this time with us. And in order to start, I give the floor to our General Director for External Action of Navarra, who will introduce the webinar.
Thank you very much, Beatriz. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and thanks for being here with us today, especially the speakers. The introduction and the opening of this event was supposed to be done by our Regional Minister, Itziar Gomez, who is the Regional Minister of Rural Development and Environmental, but unfortunately she couldn't be here with us today because of an agenda issue, but we have an introduction video with the opening, so I will display it right now.
Egunon guztioi, buenos días a todos y a todas. Gracias por participar en este evento con el cual Navarra nos sumamos a la celebración de la Semana Verde Europea, que este año está centrada en la contaminación cero por la salud de las personas y del planeta. A través de esta jornada y otras posteriores organizadas por la Dirección General de Acción Exterior del Gobierno de Navarra con ocasión de esta Semana Verde, vamos a poder conocer de primera mano experiencias innovadoras y políticas decididas para avanzar hacia ese objetivo de la contaminación cero. Al igual que el resto de Europa, Navarra se enfrenta al cambio climático y a la degradación ambiental. Para superar esta situación es necesaria una nueva estrategia que sitúe lo verde en el centro de todas las políticas. Es por ello que en Navarra estamos ultimando la Ley Foral de Cambio Climático y Transición Energética, que aporta un marco normativo, institucional e instrumental para hacer frente al cambio climático y que articula la transición a un nuevo modelo energético en Navarra. Navarra ya cuenta con instrumentos de planificación en el ámbito de la lucha contra el cambio climático, instrumentos como son la hoja de ruta clina y de la transición energética, el Plan Energético Navarra Horizonte 2030. Y ahora el objetivo de la futura ley es alcanzar los compromisos establecidos en esa planificación. Esto es, reducir el nivel de emisiones netas de CO2 y de los demás gases de efecto invernadero en al menos un 45% para el año 2030 y un 80% para el año 2050 con respecto al año 2005. Además, pretende que el 50% de la energía que se consume en la comunidad foral sea renovable en el año 2050, partiendo del 23,2% en el año 2018. Se trata de un texto ambicioso y acorde a la emergencia climática que vivimos. El Gobierno de Navarra propone esta ley foral para que podamos alcanzar los objetivos de mitigación y adaptación al cambio climático recogidos en las respectivas hojas de ruta de Navarra, como son Clina y el Plan Energético de Navarra, y es por lo tanto un anteproyecto de ley para que los objetivos no se queden en papel mojado y que regula la forma en la que podemos alcanzarlos. La futura Ley Foral de Cambio Climático y Transición Energética va a establecer obligaciones para promover la generación de energía renovable, minimizando el impacto ambiental, afectando a todos los ámbitos y áreas de nuestra actividad económica y social: la agricultura, la ganadería, los recursos hídricos, la energía, la vivienda, el urbanismo, la movilidad, la salud, la educación, la investigación y transferencia del conocimiento, el turismo, los sectores industriales, el comercio, las infraestructuras, la gestión forestal, las administraciones públicas, la cultura o la protección civil. Son medidas concretas, medidas de diferente calado para la mitigación y la adaptación al cambio climático y que nos comprometen a la sociedad navarra en su conjunto, tanto a las personas como a las entidades públicas y privadas. Si algo nos ha enseñado la crisis generada por la COVID-19 es que la salud de las personas está directamente ligada a la salud del planeta. En este contexto, los fondos Next Generation puestos en marcha por Europa suponen no solo una inyección económica en un momento en el que es necesaria, sino también una oportunidad para avanzar hacia un nuevo modelo. Un nuevo modelo de desarrollo sostenible, tanto en el ámbito económico como social, y que genere empleo de calidad desde el impulso de una nueva economía circular, descarbonizada y que garantice la conservación y restauración de la biodiversidad. Ese ha sido precisamente el objetivo de la estrategia de transición ecológica de Navarra. Navarra Green, Nafarroa Green, elaborada por el Gobierno de la Comunidad Foral, una estrategia que trata de un plan de transformación que abarca 74 proyectos de sostenibilidad medioambiental, económica y social, proyectos alineados con el Pacto Verde Europeo y enfocados a que Navarra acceda a esta financiación de los fondos europeos, de los fondos Next Generation. Dicha estrategia, que tiene como fin contribuir a la creación de alternativas del modelo productivo y a estimular cambios sociales que respondan a la emergencia climática y a la crisis sanitaria actual, estrategia que engloba 6 ejes de actuación en torno a la apuesta por las energías renovables, por la edificación eficiente y sostenible, la promoción y la modernización del ámbito rural, el fomento de la economía circular, la movilidad sostenible e innovadora o la conservación y la gestión de la biodiversidad. En cada uno de los ejes estratégicos destacan, entre otros, los proyectos de Navarra Social Housing o la promoción de la madera en el ámbito de la edificación eficiente y sostenible, el rediseño y uso circular de aceites industriales o la creación de la ciudad circular en un entorno urbano en el área de economía circular, la modernización de los regadíos agrarios o un centro logístico del producto local y sostenible en el eje de la modernización del ámbito rural, la reforestación de la comarca atlántica y adecuaciones de la infraestructura verde dentro de la gestión de la biodiversidad. Además, el despliegue de parques generadores de energía a partir de energías renovables o parques experimentales en el área de energías renovables, así como laboratorios de biocombustibles, instalaciones de testeo o planta de ensamblaje de baterías en el área relacionada con la movilidad sostenible. El conjunto de los 74 proyectos que engloban la estrategia suman una propuesta presupuestada en 770 millones de euros y con la que se movilizaría una inversión inducida de más de 3.500 millones de euros en la economía foral durante los próximos años. Pero más allá de la obtención o no de los fondos, Navarra Green es, como decía, una manera de entender que el medio ambiente ya no es una política sectorial. El medio ambiente está y es el centro de todas las políticas. Ese es el camino en el que Navarra ya se encuentra y por el que va a seguir avanzando de manera decidida. Y ya sin más, agradezco a todos y a todas vosotras la participación y además les invito a seguir estas jornadas que cuentan con un panel de lujo y sin duda van a resultar de gran interés para todos ustedes. Muchas gracias, eskerrik asko y que pasen una buena jornada.
Gobierno de Navarra. No.
So thank you, Regional Minister Itziar Gómez, from your clear messages. Green policies are not a sectoral policy, but it is in the center of our our core business. So now I would like to thank the speakers and for their participation here today with us. And I give you the floor, Beatriz. Thank you.
Yes, thank you again. And we give the floor to Nick Dale, who is a consultant and author of two very interesting studies for the World Health Organization on the integration of health issues into circular economy strategies and policies. So the floor is yours. You can share your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me okay? Can you see my presentation?
Perfectly.
Perfect, good. Well, thank you very much, first of all, to the organizers for asking me to speak. And apologies if my voice isn't very good. I'm suffering a little bit from a bug, but I'm hope to get to the end without coughing too much at you. So I am a co-author of two World Health Organization reports on the links between circular economy and health. But I should stress I'm not a World Health Organization employee, so what I say today are my own words, trying to interpret with the report. There's a lot of information in the report, so what I'm going to do just in this few minutes is to focus on concepts and framework for linking circular economy and health, with a few examples and with the key messages from the two reports. The first one was called Circular Economy and Health Opportunities and Risks. That was co-authored with Dr. Alistair Hunt, University of Bath, and also Frank George from the World Health Organization. The second report, we also introduced a few impact assessment specialists, including Professor Thomas Fisher from Liverpool University, Fintan Hurley from Institute of Occupational Health. So what was the rationale for these reports? Well, of course, there's increasing prominence of circular economy concept in policy development and business practices, but we did a fairly extensive review of documents, particularly action plans and strategies. And of course, the focus is very much on sustainable production and consumption, or a very limited coverage of human health implications, particularly national and regional initiatives. The importance of health was stated, but when you dig into it, there wasn't so much analysis. One of the interesting reports, a series of reports that we looked at, were produced by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and they did actually produce a few aggregate numbers for health and social benefits from transition to circular economy, but these were very big picture numbers, and we didn't really dig down into some of the detail, which is what we wanted to do in these reports. Other parts of the rationale for this report was the WHO wanted to link to some existing concepts and initiatives, particularly sustainable development goals, green economy initiatives, resource efficiency agenda. And they wanted to get the health sector and all stakeholders involved by framing a circular economy concept and implementation in support of the best outcomes for health. So this briefly is the contents of the first report. I don't propose to go through all of this, just focusing on theoretical framework and some very simple examples. So on the one hand, just introducing the circular economy model. I'm sure many of the participants are very familiar with this, but just as a starting point, the definitions all look at a transition from a linear to a circular model. In our research for this, we tried to find a common ground, a commonly accepted single definition, and there isn't one, but there's some useful reports that try to gather together the key aspects, and these are focused on closed loops of material flows, reduced consumption of virgin resources. Many of the definitions go beyond management of material resources to include changed models of consumption and also reducing environmental pressures related to resource extraction, emissions and waste. But the area that we were most interested in was enabling economic social benefits, greater well-being, sustainable growth, employment. but these definitions don't in general explicitly mention health or human health. So this is just an example of the increasing complexity of some of the schemes and graphics that you can find on circular economy. This one is the Ellen MacArthur Foundation based graphic, which orders the principles which orders it according to three principles: preserving and enhancing natural capital, optimizing resource yields, and fostering system effectiveness, and designing out externalities. And this word externalities is what we're most interested in terms of health and social implications. So among the very many documents that we reviewed, one of the documents by Rizos provided a definition or a categorization of circular economy processes and actions, which we used in the report. The categorization according to reduced use of primary resources, maintaining the highest value of materials and products, and changing utilization patterns, the consumption side. And then underneath that, you can see various types of process and types of action, from recycling on the one hand right across to shifts in consumption patterns. So this is the model that we use when digging down into health implications of each of these actions. So now turning to the health definitions, the WHO stressed the importance of using a definition which not only included hard endpoints, mortality and morbidity, also soft endpoints, welfare, quality of life, and their economic, social, environmental determinants, as shown in the graphic on that slide. And so we're definitely going beyond just looking at the health sector, but we wanted to look at how circular economy initiatives affected health via a great variety of pathways. So putting those two aspects together, the circular economy definition and the health definition, we use this framework to identify circular economy related health impacts. So looking first at categories of circular economy actions, types of actions, and then identifying through literature and through consultations the various potential health impacts, positive, negative, and in many cases research gaps where there may be impacts we don't know too much about them. And then dividing them into direct, such as direct impacts through exposure to chemicals of concern, but also indirect, and this is where a lot of the positive opportunities come from, such as changes in air quality due to reduced emissions from production and consumption. Then we dug down into the nature of potential health impacts, and we tried to look at the sectors involved and the distribution of issues, which stakeholders would be involved and impacted. Okay, so that was the scheme we used, and we looked at a number of different issues and sectors. The healthcare sector itself, built environment is a big one, informal waste, e-waste in particular, chemicals of concern, food safety, wastewater reuse, climate change, another big one, cross-cutting issue, and air pollution. And this slide just shows you very briefly a summary, a very broad brush overview of health implications. And I won't go through all of this, but the interesting thing to note, the green cells highlighted are where we have found that there were potential or real positive opportunities, benefits, health benefits. And these are very much on the side of changing utilization patterns and maintaining the highest value of materials and products. The only areas of concern and risk come under recycling, a little bit under efficient use of resources. This is not to say the criticism of recycling. This is really flagging up a few areas where the management of recycled materials presents potential risks. And there were some NGOs working in this area that we talked to. But the overall picture is one of mainly benefits, health benefits. So the key messages coming out of that first report, Opportunities and Risks, was that we tried to set the scene for further policy development, research and stakeholder engagement. And the overall conclusion up front was that the circular economy provides a major opportunity to yield substantial health benefits while contributing to sustainable development goals. So these are direct benefits, such as savings to the healthcare sector, indirect benefits, all sorts of indirect benefits. But also we flagged up the risks of adverse unintended health effects, in particular related to managing risks of hazardous materials, which frequently fall on vulnerable groups. Another big conclusion was the significant knowledge gaps in understanding health impacts of the transition to a circular economy. And that this is a recommendation which I'm hoping the WHO bring forward already now. And importance of roles for all key stakeholders in achieving health benefits. And finally, the need to increase coverage and better integration of health benefits and risks in policy discussions and circular economy strategies and actions. And this was the intro that, to the second report called Assessing the Health Impacts of a Circular Economy. Now, so the two key recommendations that tried to address were further understanding of health impacts of circular economy transition and increasing the coverage and integration of health benefits and risks in national, regional, global strategies and visions. And we came up with this acronym PPVPs, policies, plans, programs, projects, which tries to cover the whole range of possible initiatives. So the real focus of this second report was in trying to discuss how do you assess health impacts, and we brought in various impact assessment specialists to look at appropriate use of impact assessment frameworks, methods, approaches, and resources. Particular focus was on health impact assessments, but also looking at the use of strategic environmental assessment, environmental impact assessment, social impact assessment. There's also a little bit on life cycle analysis as well. And we just tried to introduce the steps of these impact assessment methods and how they could be applied in this particular context. And there are also some sectoral case studies, healthcare sector. Big one for health really is built environment, and also food safety and health. And the key messages that came out of the report was the great potential for the use of impact assessment methods to integrate health and well-being into circular economy initiatives. Again, the need for further exploration of appropriate use of these methods in the context of different initiatives at different government levels. A key recommendation was that there should be a routine health impact screening of proposed priority areas and related actions within circular economy strategies and action plans. So this would help to identify health-related actions to boost the opportunities and manage risks. Again, the need there for continued research to fill significant knowledge gaps. And then finally, and this is kind of an important point for us, I'd like to underline that recognizing the importance of businesses and industries in implementing circular economy initiatives and a role in undertaking impact assessment, because it's clear that a lot of the circular economy agenda has been driven by innovation in industries. So we shouldn't see this as a top-down process, but a collaborative process. So I hope that very brief run through those two reports has been useful to kick this off. There's a lot more information which I suggest you could look at if you're interested. In the final slide there's a couple of links to get to the two reports. But anyway, thank you very much, and I'll hand back to the chair.
Thank you very much, Nick, and also for respecting the time so strictly. So now we will go to our third speaker, who is Tixet Stelstra, sorry if I pronounce it incorrectly, member of the European Committee of Regions, and who will tell us about local actions of circular economy for healthy regions. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to join you today and share some insights in how circular economy can help us to the path to a zero pollution society. And it's a privilege to participate here as a member of the Committee of the Regions and also as rapporteur of the new Circular Economy Action Plan. And from that role, I'm also appointed as Committee of Regions representative within the coordination group of the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform. And I'm also a member of the Green Deal Going Local working group. This is established by the Committee of Regions with groups aims to place cities and regions at the core of the Green Deal and to ensure that both the EU's Sustainable Growth Strategy and the COVID-19 recovery plan translate into funding for cities and regions and tangible projects for every territory. So this is a little introduction, and when there's some time left, I'm also regional minister in the Northern Netherlands. I will start to give you a short overview of my opinion on circular economy plan, which was adopted by the Committee of Regions, and I will focus on points which are most important and interesting for local and regional authorities. After that, maybe there's some time I can share some examples of my own regions and examples I got from my consultation on the opinion. And at last, there is some points of actual, which are actual now. But I will start with a general remark, because on this moment we are still in an urgent year on the COVID-19 crisis, and it's a crisis about health, about life, and we need a quick recovery from it. And it has a great impact on world economy. But there's also another crisis on health and on life. And you know, I'm talking about the climate crisis. And this crisis we can't solve with a vaccine. But we have learned some very important lessons, I think, from the COVID crisis for the climate crisis. And let me share 3 lessons with you. The first lesson is we are very resilient. In no time, we made changes in our behavior. We made new rules in how to meet each other. We changed our way of working. In no time, we went digital. So one lesson is we are capable to very quick changes. Another lesson is we are very innovative and cooperative. It is miraculous how fast different vaccines were made. So we are capable to innovations in a very short time. And we have learned that we can explore the knowledge of today in a fast way to a higher level. And a third lesson I want to share with you, we have also seen how resilient nature is. The lockdowns had in some places a very positive effect on the environment. Rivers got clean, air pollution stopped. So our behavior as humans really has impact on nature, and this impact can be positive. And these lessons are important because, in my view, the central message of this message is it's a message of hope. We are capable to make change. And in that big picture, the Circular Economy Action Plan from the Commission is very welcome. It will help shape a pathway towards a more resilient and low-carbon economic recovery from the devastating consequences of the linear economy. With this action plan, Europe can show a real European approach in setting targets and at the same time make use of local and regional knowledge. This local and regional knowledge is very important, and I did focus on it in my opinion. But it was very sad, and I will give you some highlights from my opinion, that I had to start with the conclusion that the new Circular Economy Action Plan took very little notice of the role of local and regional authorities. And that is regrettable, because I think local and regional governments do play an important role, and your regional minister showed it in her opening speech. They have abilities to and handle in different areas where circular economy comes close to the citizens. For example, the competences on handling waste, water, spatial planning, building. And there are many good practices visible on local and regional level, and your minister mentioned a lot more. And by adopting this opinion, the Committee of Regions is not only asking for help in, for instance, funding for this transition, but perhaps more importantly, raising awareness to the fact that local and regional governments can contribute significantly to the success of the action plan. And to achieve the goals we want, we need targets on several subjects, but there's one overall target that we should relate circular economy to, and that's the reduction of CO2. And I think for local and regional governments, it is important to relate their actions also to this target. To say it in a different way, can we show how our action in local and regional governments is an answer on the question why we are doing it? Linked to targets is innovation, and innovation will help us to set standards. And one of my recommendations is that the reached innovation of today must be the standard within 5 years. And stimulating by regional and local governments can help a lot. In my region, for instance, we stimulate innovations on the reuse of plastics, and which region doesn't want to set a standard for the next 5 years? So regions, be competitive, please. Something about waste. Many crucial resources labeled waste are available in Europe. And in order to reach a true circular economy, the mind shift needs to switch towards the paradigm: there is no waste. There is no waste. Waste doesn't exist. What we call waste is a collection of resources. And COVID-19 has shown us how dependent we are on resources. So we have to keep them. Don't waste anymore. And in this mind setting, also the local and regional governments have an important role. And I also call for green public procurement criteria and targets. And on this way, the local and regional governments can play also an important role as launching customer, as a buyer of a lot of services and goods. They can make a choice for circularity. And I know also that to achieve a circular economy, scale is very important. Cooperation between various regions and cities need to be developed at the European level in order to make it possible for regions and cities to use each other's infrastructure to handle waste, for instance, during the transition phase. But circular economy requires a new way of consuming that radically changes the consumer's consumption habits. Raising awareness is essential, and local and regional governments play a major role in establishing the mindset as a new standard. And therefore, enough attention should be paid to education and the developing of skills, because of the possibility to benefit from the development of highly skilled jobs in the near future. So, regions and cities are important. We can stimulate, we can regulate. And I will give you some examples from my region, just at random. What we did to make it very practical. In my country, circularity was the item of a National Day of Education on Environment. And in creating awareness, the local aldermen and regional ministers like me did a reading at primary schools, and I did a reading on the use of textile. And I had a very, very interesting conversation with 8 to 12 years old children. And I think that's important because that's where it starts for the next generation. Another example, with architects and schools, we made a field lab on circular building. Young students are sharing ideas and can practice it in real. They helped us and builders in the first steps to circular building. There is a project realized of new built houses, and a big part of these houses were built in a circular way, thanks to them. And very simple, in my office, the office of the province of Drenthe, we use recyclable coffee cups. A regional company brings them, we use them, takes them away, and recycles them. It's a closed circle. It's very, 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 very nice. And a few months ago, I spoke at a webinar of the health sector, and the remanufacturing of single-use medical devices, I learned from it, prevent a lot of difficult waste. And so I learned from it a sectoral approach is also very helpful to get circular. So we can do a lot in big steps, in small steps, and with my opinion, I tried to underline how important regions and cities are on the path to a circular society. That's what it is. It's not just a circular economy, it's a circular society. It's a new way of living. And also, and let me tell you something about it at last, the Commission is getting more concrete. One of the main environmental priorities of the European Green Deal is the zero pollution ambitions for a toxic-free environment. And in this framework, the European Commission approved last week the zero pollution action plan for air, water, and soil. And this plan includes important proposals on circular economy policy and outlines a number of flagship initiatives and actions, such as reviewing the majority of EU waste laws to adapt them to the clean and circular economy principle, fostering zero pollution from production and consumption, presenting a scoreboard of EU regions' green performance to promote zero pollutions across regions, foreseen for 2024. And this action plan is of great relevance for local and regional authorities. And cooperation with the Committee of Regions is specifically mentioned in connection with the new scoreboard of EU regions' green performance and with the new zero pollution stakeholder platform. Multiple other actions involve local and regional authorities, such as the Living Labs for Green Digital Solutions and Smart Zero Pollution, or the initiative European Year of Greener Cities, based on the Urban Zero Pollution Action Performance. And among its 6 key targets for 2030, it includes one of the significant reduction of total waste generation, together with a reduction by 50% residual municipal waste, which go in line with the circular economy policy. And also an important initiative in this field included in the action plan is the Green City Accord. Signatory cities commit to tackling the most urgent environmental challenges facing their cities. By joining the accord, majors agreed to step up their efforts in 5 key areas by 2030. And one of these areas is circular economy and waste. And the Committee of Regions is organizing a Green Week session on the 4th of June on achieving zero pollution cities through regional policy and the Green City Accord. So there's a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of work in progress. And I'm also aware there will be skepticism and there will be ignorance. And you can see that as a risk, but I see it as a challenge. We must convince our citizens about the importance of this transition to a circular economy and show them it's not only making the world better in an environmental way, but it is also the next step to more welfare. We did a great job on the COVID crisis. We can do great things. So I believe our message should be a message of hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tirce. It was very interesting to hear you. And now we go to our more concrete panel with Johannes Kissen and Miguel Escribano, who will tell us concrete practices in this topic. So we start with Johannes from Alquivia Nova.
Hey, great. I believe you can see my screen, right? So I want to share with you a few insights on how nature-based solutions can actually be used, and we can include the nutrients and the water and the air and see a different perspective for circular economy approach. In general, while now talking in details, we believe in plant powers, and this is something that we recommend to be like more highly uptaken in all areas in Europe. Plants are one of the best CO2 converters. They do it just passively without us doing anything. They convert us to fine chemicals, so we can even make use of these chemicals. They polluted air, as it's called, are for them nutrients, so they can convert volatile organic compounds into clean air. They have the capacity to extract metals from the ground and to clean soils. And of course, they can also clean wastewater, and actually much better than expected. Another strong part in nature-based solutions is that we can make use of those in the food value chain. As we all know, that all the food is actually derived from plants, either animals eat them or we eat them directly, and the nutrients provided so far mostly come from fertilizer industry. And then there is, of course, a chain system. And we want to convert this food value chain into a food value cycle and collect the nutrients at any points. This can be then organic waste, or this can be, of course, also wastewater, which is very important and still quite a bit a taboo topic. But this is where all the nutrients go in the end. I think that's very obvious if you think about the circular economy in a whole. We can collect them. We love decentralization. So we believe that if people start working with secondary resources in cities or in settlements, they can also create jobs, and you can green the city via these means. You can create the green walls that make use of the wastewater. You can even involve biogas if wanted after, in the very end. You can connect very nicely to the bioeconomy. So it's a perfect win-win for everybody. And then you just can grow it directly in the city, and of course, oversized like nutrients that cannot be absorbed in the city because there are way too many nutrients in cities and settlements. They need to be sent back to where they're originally grown. In best case, in the green belt around the cities or around the settlement. Some direct, like concrete examples. In the Hydrusa Innovation Project, we do this in 3 Greek islands. So we have a settlement, for example, in Lesbos or in Tinos or in Mykonos, and we convert the wastewater in biogas in the first step to produce biogas, which is then used for as a gas filling station for a lorry or a car directly for the city or for the municipality. We have from the biogas system, we go to wetland systems. This is just producing greens with the nutrients there to have the water reuse like guidelines for filling with all the nitrogen and the phosphorus and so on. This is very nice topic as you just convert directly wastewater and nutrients to greens. And then all the clean water is used in a big agroforestry plot. So basically we do wastewater to biodiversity and food. Within this biodiversity setup, every plant that we plant is like a permaculture system, produces food, produces something. So it's fully turning the idea of depolluting into just using nutrients where they are. It's just waste equals food idea, as you know. There are many more water topics associated to that. All of them are nature-based. So this is a nature-based desalination and nature-inspired water condensation and so on. So we can even treat air with a nature-based treatment system. So if you just combine the things right, you all the time have multifunctional systems. But we can also do this in on a building scale. This was for a whole village, and it's very perfect example as it's very dry in these areas, and we can do it. And now we can do the same for buildings in green walls and in small aquaponic cycles and the like. It works perfectly. It's been demonstrated also in Spain in 2 buildings in Catalonia. Not the whole cycle. The whole cycle is just being demonstrated in Austria so far. But there are also some nice hotels. Hotel Samba, for example, in Lloret de Mar in Spain, which has a green wall treating grey water for many years, which actually is this one. It looks like that. These are like green walls that you can use in outside. They all treat wastewater, right? This is like the winter mode. This is the grass that grows by itself. It's not planted. It's just, I mean, some are planted. This is like an air treatment system, or treatment or air use system, however you want to see it. Small panels, these were like the first prototypes. They are filled with construction demolition waste, so there is a win-win in all these things. Now current developments are combined with PV even. But if you now scale this up and think this in a bigger scale for whole cities, there are many more opportunities to use nature-based solutions. There are the green walls that I've just shown. There are different systems of green walls. There are green roofs that you can make use of. These green balconies. They are like pot-bound greenings. There is like green areas, spaces, water surfaces, and they are all considered nature-based solutions. And they all have multi-function functions for the city environment, for the CO2, for everything. So what we highly suggest or recommend is for any further development is to follow 3 basic principles when we want to work with nature-based solutions and combine the circular economy. So it's the circular. We have these strategies, which underlines and feels has a very nice impact on the whole environment. There is nature-based with regenerative farming supply chains, multifunctional, biodiverse nature-based solutions, and participation is key always. If you integrate the participants from the citizens from the very beginning, it is great, and they will all love these systems and feel responsible for them if they're not. So in this sense, I will end the short presentation and also want to give you this nice dragon dreaming cycle: dream, plan, implement, celebrate circular and nature-based solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johannes. Very interesting. Now we will give the floor to Miguel Escribano from Kunak. And before that, I remind you that after Miguel's presentation, we will have some time for debate and questions if you wish. So you can put them already in the chat or on the questions and answers at the bottom of your screen.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Beatriz. Thank you so much for having us here today. I am Miguel Escribano, Business Development Director at Kunak Technologies. And as you saw, we have a mission. Kunak has a mission to tackle the air quality, the air pollution, which is the silent killer with more than 7 million deaths every year all over the world. And also, as you can see on the left, with a very clear distribution of where the problems are in developing countries. I don't know if you know about Ella Kisidebra case. It has been the first case in which the air pollution has been recognized as the cause of death of her in London. And this is fueling Kunak Technologies' efforts in tackling this problem. We are observing several trends in the society. First of all, we need more data. There is a big growing demand of activities, industrial activities, mostly cities, for more data, more than what the authorities are being able to provide us. So we can say that the authorities are failing us in providing more data. A second trend would be that there is a growing adoption of sensor-based air quality monitors and software-based solutions, which are being widely used to understand the air quality conditions in every kind of activity. This is a very big shift happening in the environmental industry. And lastly, we see how many developing countries need cost-effective and accurate environmental monitoring solutions to impose new regulations. This is a gap that we all need to fill if we are asking them to take steps in the sustainable development. And this is what we do at Kunak. We design and manufacture air quality stations based on IoT technologies, Internet of Things technologies, and sensors that are cost-effective, that are designed for type approval, scalable, accurate, and very, very easy to use for professionals, but also for newbies. To try and illustrate a couple of examples of projects, for example, we are helping the Port Authority at the Balearic Island to understand what's the activity, how is their activity affecting the cities nearby, and how can they reduce, promote electrification of the ports, etc., with 25 stations in 5 ports and more than 1.5 million data points each month. Another example, very interesting for us, is the World Athletics. This is the International Athletics Federation. So they represent every athlete that runs or throws things or jumps in the Olympics, for example. We have been helping them since 2018 to deploy air quality monitors in the stadiums, in marathons. For example, you have seen a video of the monitoring of the Valencia Marathon a couple of years ago, because they needed to start understanding how is the air pollution affecting not only the elite athletes in their results, but also the staff working there and the visitors. But there is a dark side of IoT adoption. If you see on the left, the global number of connected IoT devices is growing exponentially. It's not important which is the number, but we are all aware of this growing concern. For example, we can see how Karine Leger, she is the CEO of Air Paris. Air Paris is the institution in charge of the air quality of the region of Paris. She was sharing with us her insights about how many IoT startups like Kunak are asking these kind of institutional air quality managers to deploy sensors in the city. But she was asking us, the IoT startups, who is going to take care of all those sensors? Who is going to take care of the electronic waste? How are you going to maintain that? So this has fueled and inspired our product development. We have applied the principles of the circular design in our unit. For example, instead of cooling the unit with particle cells of other systems, we have designed it in a way that it is cooled by natural convection. Also, we are trying to harvest the parts and reutilize the parts. So we have developed a system which works with cartridges. Instead of having the sensors inside the box, we provide cartridges to the clients and we recirculate the electronics and the plastic that are in those cartridges, saving a lot of resources and money even for the clients. And lastly, we are good at low power consumption, so we can make our systems work with solar panel. So this is our effort to develop a circular and sustainable design of the products using these principles. This will allow us to propose to the market, to the environmental industry, a new system, a new circular business model that will recirculate all these waste and materials and reuse them. We're quite proud of it, and we need help of every stakeholder to make this happen and be successful. That should be all. I try to be as quick as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miguel. You were all super strict with the time. So let's see. We don't have questions so far. Please, the audience, if you want to make comments or questions, feel free to put them or to raise your hand. And in the meantime, I take the chance to just thank you all for these very powerful messages and for sharing this moment with us. Navarra is strongly committed to the Green Week and to the zero pollution strategies, as our regional minister Itziar Gomez told us, and she already mentioned very concrete measures. Nick Dahl shared with us some highlights of the studies that he wrote, and where we see that how circular economy can trigger health benefits concretely. And Tix Stelstra shared with us a message of hope and on how we are really capable of changing our behavior, and on the importance of local and regional actions. And the case studies were super interesting. At least I learned a lot about the power of plants and nature-based solutions. Thank you, Johannes. And about Kunak's air quality stations and how important it is and how they contribute to air pollution. So thank you, Miguel, as well for that. And in the meantime, they are asking about the recording of the webinar. So yes, we will share it with all the people who registered to the webinar. We know that in this Green Week there are so many events and some at the same time. So yeah, I think it's important that we have this recording. And just before closing the session, to let you know that from the delegation of Navarra to the EU, we have organized another event for the 8th of June, and it will be on water pollution this time. And it's going to be an exchange of regional practices for the prevention of water pollution. And so, since I don't see more comments. If someone wants to speak, please go ahead. Otherwise, we thank you all again, the participants and especially the speakers, and we hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.